Good morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Delaware County Commissioners meeting. It is Monday, May 17th, 2021. The time is 9:06. If you could stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Henry.
Here.
Ms. Reagan.
Present.
Mr. King.
Here.
Mr. Ratt.
Here.
First, we have a public hearing regarding the disposal of county-owned real property, regarding the property at 100 West Washington Street, Muncie 47305, and the deed sale. Do we have anybody here to speak against it?
For it.
Anybody for it? If
Not
not,
gonna be
I'll
here.
entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes. Next, we'll move to appointments. City and County Council for People with Disabilities. We have Mr. Bruce Marvillius that asked to serve on this board.
I'll make a motion. We make that appointment.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes. We have no tabled business, so we'll move to the approval of the minutes for May 3rd, 2021.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes. We have no presentations for today. We'll move to contracts or agreements. First, we'll have our emergency declaration, 2021-11. I know there's been a little bit of discussion about this, about keeping the same emergency declaration that we had, and also discussion about the CDC, which is allowing people to go without the mask if you've been vaccinated. So,
I would like to continue with the declaration we currently have in place. That is making it mandatory in county property, inside county buildings, and it allows businesses to decide whether they want to require masks or not.
I'd like to add that we're okay outside to drop it.
I believe that's already in there.
That's already in there?
Yep.
Okay.
So I'd make a motion to continue with the current emergency declaration that we have now until our next meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. And just so everybody understands, the CDC is saying that you don't have to wear a mask if you've been vaccinated, but you also can't ask to see somebody's vaccination card. So sort of makes it hard there too. So we have a motion. We have a second. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes. Next, we'll move to uniform easement acquisition offer for the Blaine Street extension. Is this, Joe, the same one that,
This is similar. It's a different property, but it's a similar resolution or similar easement given to AEP, Indiana Michigan Power, for some power infrastructure work.
So move.
Second.
a motion is second. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes. Next, we have local roads, bridges matching grant agreement. Angie?
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm pleased to announce NDOT has awarded $604,066.75 to Delaware County. This will involve 3 projects. One is on 800 East, south of Eaton Albany Pike. That's a structure replacement. 1100 North, east of State Road 3. That is a slip lining job. And then we were awarded paving for 600 West between Gaston to the Grant County line. So these are 3 grant agreements. I just need your approval for that award.
So move. Can we lump
Second.
them all together?
Yeah.
Okay, so moved.
Have a motion and a second. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. President, while Angie's talking, could we discuss some projects that NDOT's doing out on 3 South?
Yep, we sure can.
Some of those, I know we're getting some phone calls about, they have some temporary closures. Angie, could you elaborate a little bit on that, please?
My understanding is they're running one lane each direction. And at this time, it's just a temporary closure at Walnut Street and then, is it 500 South, James, I think you said?
Yeah, Walnut and I believe
Yeah, so when they
500.
switch lanes, after they're done completing both sides, that should be open back to traffic to make turning movements.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. We have no ordinances for second reading or first reading, so we'll move to resolutions. We have resolution number 2021-012, resolution making a final determination to transfer county-owned property to a nonprofit.
Commissioners, this resolution is, you just had your public hearing. This will transfer county-owned property to the only applicant that we actually got any information from. That's East Central Indiana Regional Planning District. All you'd have to do is approve the resolution, and then if you want any special terms to be included, there's the last page on the resolution that kind of allows you to implement any special conditions or whatever you'd like on that.
Okay,
So, how often do they meet at EC
quarterly.
quarterly?
Yeah, they also have an executive committee that I believe meets
So,
much
how
more
are
often.
they gonna get the word out, what they're gonna do with the property?
They will issue RFPs.
RFPs?
Mm-hmm.
And, how many days will they require to have those?
That's a good question. I want to say 30, but that'll be
30?
up to them to get responses to the RFP. They'll put a notice in the paper and send.
Well, how can anybody come and take a look at it to see what they wanna do, or?
That's a good question. I don't know. That'll be for ECI to decide.
Normally what they'll do is contact Charlie.
30 days doesn't seem very long.
What would people like to do on this property?
I'll make a motion, we approve the resolution 2021-012.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Steve, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes. Next, we have resolution number 2021-013, resolution approving the sale of county-owned real property pursuant to IC 36-1-11.
This is a resolution that needs to be adopted for the county's upcoming deed sale. This has 121 properties on the list. I think that number is going to come down a little bit, but we'll see. Ultimately, this is just one of the tools that we've been trying to use to get just tax sale properties that have been notoriously delinquent back on tax rolls.
What's the date of that sale?
June 29th, I believe.
Out at the Heartland?
Yep.
I know we've been really successful, and appreciate the auditor and the treasurer and you, Joe, working on this. So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Joe, before we vote on this, did you receive the text message I sent you
I did.
this morning about the Willard property
I
that
did.
Councilmember Neater Davis?
Yep. So
Like
with
that.
that squared away, that one will be handled at the next meeting.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes. Next, department head and elected officials. Does anybody have anything for today? If not, we'll move to payment of claims in the amount of $1,850,685.09.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes. Next, we'll move to public comments and questions. We have Paul Whitehair here to speak.
Paul Whitehair, 7200 East, County Road 800 in Albany. I just wondered where we stood on any updates on ordinance for the wind farms coming to Delaware County.
Okay. Joe, I know we did something in 2013 when Larry Bledsoe was on the commission with us. Can you research that?
Yep, I will.
and Maybe get the information to Mr.
I will.
Whitehair about that. There was some sort of ordinance, I know back then, that was done when Larry Bledsoe was a commissioner with myself and Miss Reagan. We'll get that information to you.
Okay.
That way you can look at it. If you like, come back to the next meeting and,
To go forward with it?
Yep.
Okay.
all right.
The other thing I'd suggest for the time being is to just maybe visit the Plan Commission office down on the second floor. Marta and the people down there should be able to give you a pretty in-depth bit of information as to where things stand and the history and all that kind of good stuff.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Because I know in 2013 that we had a group that came in that was wanting to put some of the wind farms in, and we did an ordinance back then, so.
All right, thank you.
Does commissioners have anything that, before we,
Well, I'm a master gardener, and we use the arena out at the fairgrounds, and we appreciate the fair board working with us, and we had a very successful sale, and things are looking good out there, and getting ready for the fair. Right, Melanie?
Yes, we are.
if nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to recess.
So move.
I'll second that.
We'll get it.
Steve, can you call roll, please?
Ms. Reagan,
Yes.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes. Go on recess.